It's now my pleasure to go ahead and tell you a little bit about our presenters this evening. We have Dr. Dennis Dirkmaat. He is the chair of our Applied Forensic Sciences Department, as well as his colleagues, Dr. Joe Adsirius and Dr. Leslie Fitzpatrick. So thank you guys very much. We also have a current student here with us as well too, and Anthony is going to talk a little bit about his experience at Mercyhurst. Dr. Dirkmaat, do you mind taking it away and introducing yourself first?
Sure. My name is Dr. Dennis Dirkmaat, and I'm the chair of the Department of Applied Forensic Sciences, and I've been here a long time. I've been here, I started in the fall of 1991. You guys weren't born for the most part. So it's been a long time, and I've seen a lot of changes at Mercyhurst. And so I basically started out in the anthropology department. That's my degree. I have a PhD in anthropology, a focus on physical anthropology and archaeology. And when I came to Mercyhurst, I taught those classes. Eventually, I saw that there was a need to teach some other aspect of anthropology, which was forensic anthropology. And so in the turn of the 2000s there, about 2003, decided that it might be time to start a forensic science program. And so we did that in 2003, added some faculty. A year later, it added a graduate program, et cetera. And so that's where we are at this point. We like to think, and the numbers play us or tell us out that yes, we have a very good program. So over the years, we've attracted a lot of very good students who've gone on for advanced degrees as well as jobs, et cetera. So what I see tonight, about a month ago or so, we had a session with students where we basically presented a little more formally what the program was about. And I saw that there might be a need for a session where you guys could ask questions. Typically, I would be meeting you in my office, and you'd sit there for 15 minutes and ask questions, and your parents would ask questions. And so it's sort of an informal interview process where you would interview me and what I could do for you and your children and daughter and son. So tonight, feel free, not only the students there, but also the parents to ask us the hard questions. So I also have a couple faculty members here, Dr. Adsirius and Dr. Fitzpatrick, and they can introduce themselves and sort of why they came to Mercyhurst and what they feel about it. And once they do that, then I can get into a little more of the background of the department. And we also have as a graduate student, his second year graduate student in our master's program, but Anthony is also a 4-year graduate of our undergraduate program. So he did the right thing, was a very good student, and we decided to keep him for another 2 years. So he's been here a long time, so he can answer the hard questions as well. So I'll turn it over to, I don't see who's here, but I think Dr. Fitzpatrick is here, and then Dr. Adsirius.
Thank you so much, Dr. Dirkmaat. I'm Dr. Leslie Fitzpatrick. I'm, of course, in the Department of Applied Forensic Sciences. My background is also in anthropology. I was a bioarchaeologist, so a little bit of the biological anthropology as well as the archaeology. My background's a little bit different, not only the anthropology stuff there, but I also have a bachelor's in mechanical engineering. And I'm in school right now to get a master's in public health and epidemiology and biostats. So a little bit of a different background there. But my main line of research is stable isotope analysis for the, basically for the geographic origin and mobility analysis, as well as dietary analysis. So I really like the lab stuff. I came to Mercyhurst. I answered a job announcement. I was out finishing up my PhD at the University of Wyoming. I answered a job announcement, and it was kismet. I was extremely excited to be offered the position, and never looked back. I really enjoy working at Mercyhurst, working with the fantastic faculty and students, and hope to see many of you guys here next year. So thanks so much.
Thanks, Dr. Fitzpatrick. I really appreciate that. Dr. Adsirius, would you mind introducing yourself next?
Yes, of course. So I'm Jo Adsirius. I'm from Spain, and I'm a dentist and I'm a biologist. So I used to work with, let's say, alive patients before coming to Mercyhurst, as well as I was an advisor for the police in Spain. And of course, I knew about the Department of Applied Forensic Science in Mercyhurst because it's a worldwide known department, and Dennis Rickman is a reference.
Introducing the
And
faculty right now. This is the chairman of the department.
I went to study some core courses
Forensic Science
because I wanted to have the
They have
instruction
a whole
and the mentorship
by itself.
during that. And I did that, and later on in the years, I was related with some research projects with Mercyhurst faculty, and then as well as Leslie Fitzpatrick, there was an opening for a job. I applied, and I can tell you that I've been working in Spain, in Europe, many places in Europe, in the US, and in forensic science, in clinical science, and this is my dream job. Working under Dr. Dickman is just a dream for any forensic scientist. So if you are willing to do something really good in forensic science and being in the top people in forensic science, this is the right place to be.
Thanks so much for that overview. I appreciate it, Dr. Adsirius. And Anthony, would you mind introducing yourself and telling us a little bit about your story and how you ended up at Mercyhurst?
Sure. So as I was introduced, my name's Anthony. I'm a second-year graduate student at Mercyhurst in the master's program in forensic and biological anthropology. So the graduate program is a 2-year program, so I will be graduating in May. As Dr. Dirkmatt said, I was a 4-year graduate of the undergraduate program in applied forensic sciences. Graduated 2019. As a young kid, I've always had an interest in forensics. I had a teacher way back in junior high tell me I had a strong knack for people watching, and I asked a lot of questions, and I had to figure out why everything worked the way it did. So she said I needed to have a job that asked a lot of questions. As a 12-year-old, when she brought up forensic anthropology, I had no clue what that was, and I said, that sounds good, I'm going to run with it. And all throughout my junior high, throughout high school, I said I was going to be a forensic anthropologist. My advisors, I thank them a lot, but they helped me compile a list of all the top schools in the country, and Mercyhurst came up on my list. It was actually the closest school on my list, like to where I live. So I drove 7 hours to Mercyhurst, stepped foot on campus, and just loved it. Everything about it. The campus is so upkept and nice that it's just like a scene out of a movie. And when I met the faculty, I was blown away by how personal they were, and how willing they were to show me everything, and get me involved right away. So, moving from home, 7 hours from home is hard, but it's like you have a second family at Mercyhurst. So it's been great.
And Anthony, I know that you were a hockey player while you were at Mercyhurst.
Yes.
Did you find it manageable to actually be an applied forensic sciences major and also a student athlete? When I think of applied forensic sciences, I know that it's really heavy in the natural sciences and that it's a very rigorous program. So can you talk a little bit about how you were able to manage both of those?
Yeah. So I'm still, hopefully, fingers crossed, that we still have our season this year. So I have been playing hockey at Mercyhurst since my freshman year. It has been tough at times, but the faculty at Mercyhurst, they're really understanding that if you are a student athlete, if you have to miss class for athletic events, they are more than okay with it. And then on the other side of things too, all of our coaches are super understanding. You have to put a little bit extra work in to find some time to study, but it's been manageable. Every one of my teammates that's also in the sciences has found it manageable. Like I said, faculty and coaching staff have been really understanding about it. You have a passion, you're there for school, you're not there for hockey, you're there to get your degree. So everyone understands that, and they prioritize that over a game or a practice.
Thanks so much, Anthony. And Dr. Dirkmatt, I'm going to go ahead and turn it back over to you to see if you wanted to share any additional remarks before we go ahead and open it up to people for questions.
Sure. I just wanted to remark initially, it's amazing that Anthony has kept all of his trophies of participation over the years. Yeah, he's an amazing athlete. So as we all know that. So, a little bit about our program. When I started the program, we decided to focus on 3 concentrations, the areas of which we had some expertise. So I am a board certified forensic anthropologist. So I've done a lot of forensic cases, worked with police and coroners. And so that was a natural concentration that we would focus upon. When we created it in 2004, there really wasn't any other program in the country that had a concentration like that. And even today, I don't think there's too many. When I ask students if they're interested in forensic anthropology, what other programs they're looking at, if they have a major or a concentration there aren't very many. So there may be some in the audience there, if we have a big audience, that you're looking around for programs in forensic anthropology. That there aren't a whole lot. I would venture to say that we certainly have the best one in the country, because what we try to do is not only, you can see the high quality of the faculty, but we also have a lot of experiential opportunities for the students. We do a lot of forensic cases. When we talk about forensic anthropology, if you're not familiar with it, it is basically the study of human remains found in outdoor settings in oftentimes unknown circumstances, whether it's a homicide or a suicide or accident, et cetera. So our job is to go out to these scenes, collect the remains, document them, basically using archaeological methods or other aspect of anthropology there, and try to figure out what happened in the past, how long ago it occurred, what are the particular incidents related to it. And so that requires us to go into the field. And so I decided early on that it wasn't going to be just me going out there. Not that I'm a particularly lazy person, but for the experience of the students, what I wanted them to get is a feel and an understanding of what the discipline was about. And you know, when students come into the program and say, yes, I want to do forensic science, or I want to do forensic anthropology, but it's sort of an incomplete thing. You don't know exactly what that is, what it would involve, whether that's a career choice or et cetera. So what I see is in an undergraduate program, even ours that has a distinct specialty to it, it is an opportunity for the students to explore what the discipline is. So some of our students come in and said, okay, my concentration is going to be forensic anthropology. But they're not exactly sure what that is. And so during the first year and into the sophomore year, take these classes, first intro classes, then more advanced classes, and you're getting taught by experts in the field. And then you have a pretty good idea if that is what you want to do. For example, when Anthony came in, he had an interest in it, but he never had a class, I don't think, in high school about it. And so he may have read some things, et cetera, but he had an incomplete knowledge of it. And so when he came and took some of the classes, then he found the passion, and then we haven't been able to get rid of him since then. So I see that a lot in the students, that they have an interest, and maybe they watched some shows or read some books on it. The undergraduate part of it is to explore. So we have forensic anthropology, we have the classic forensic chemistry, which all programs have, because that's sort of the historical roots of the field. And then we also have forensic biology / criminalistics. Now, there's a lot of students that are interested in the criminalistics because it's more of the crime scene and collecting evidence and all that. But we try to, it's not one where you just go in and you don't have to have any science background and you just pick up evidence, et cetera. No, we require that if you're going to go into criminalistics, there's going to be a lot of science. You have to understand the chemistry of the evidence, the physics, the biomechanics, et cetera. And so those that come into our program interested in forensic chemistry or forensic biology or forensic anthropology, and if they're interested in criminalistics, they're gonna be required to take the same amount of hard science. And so with those three concentrations, what we expect the students to get out of that is that they have a very good understanding of the natural sciences. And what I see as a benefit to that is that in some cases, you know, the students come in, I really want to do forensic science. They take a few classes, but then they're realize that maybe I don't want to do that. Maybe I don't want to deal with dead individuals out in the woods, but I do like biochemistry. And so with our program, with the heavy investment in the hard sciences and the natural sciences, you're taking that and you decide, okay, I want to go into biology. You have all the requisite classes, so you don't have to start from scratch again and go over that. And if you have a bunch of natural science classes in your curriculum, what I think is you can do almost anything. You know, it's one of the hardest of the disciplines within the university setting, certainly within Mercyhurst. So if you have done that and done well, then you prove to individuals at the next level, whether it's an employer or somebody in a master's program looking at your curriculum, you've proven that you know how to use your brain in the hard sciences. You know how to manage time and things like that. And so our program is good for that. It sort of kicks your butt early on, and you figure out pretty quickly whether you want to do the hard sciences, and no matter what you choose, it'll be a benefit to you. What we typically see, let's say we get, like this past year, we had 50 freshmen come in. What I would expect, and the historical pattern is that we won't see all 50 of those individuals graduate from our program. We will typically see most of those individuals graduating from Mercyhurst, but they've found another discipline. They still like Mercyhurst and enjoy that, and there's always other factors, but it's probably about 50-50 or 60% of the students that come in that will end up in graduating with a forensic science degree. Some may say, oh, why is that? Does that say something about your program? I see that as a natural thing. That's a good thing. What I want the students to come in is to figure out what you guys want to do for a career. And so we're here, we have the resources, we can give you the experiences to understand better what that involves. And so you can make an informed decision. If you do continue in the discipline and in our program, then again, we're a pretty well-known entity, and you want to go into a master's program. The faculty at this other program, I think, know us. And so the reference letters that we provide, they're looking at the curriculum that these students have, and historically, our students are well appreciated. And so they've been successful into getting into these advanced programs. We also, like, for example, today, I was talking to an employer out in Iowa, and they were looking at one of our students to hire her. And during the process of talking to me about the individual, the HR person said, "Oh, we have another of your students," and I knew that. And they said the director here is very impressed the product, the Mercyhurst students that come out of your program. And so I think today, after talking to the HR person, and she interviewed yesterday, she'll have a job there. We have at a big medical examiner's office, we'll have 2 of our graduates there, and I guarantee that they'll do a spectacular job. So I think the way that we prepare the students and push the students really makes for a very valuable experience coming out of Mercyhurst. So
Thanks, Dr. Dirkmatt. I really appreciate that added information, and I want to let you know that you sparked lots of really great questions. So I'm going to go ahead and start posing them to you and your faculty and Anthony, and then feel free to go ahead and address them as you guys feel is fit. Jay was actually wondering if there are study abroad opportunities as an applied forensic science major at Mercyhurst.
I'll let Leslie answer that. Or Anthony.
So as a student, a lot of my friends that I graduated my undergraduate with in 2019, they had the opportunity to study abroad. The study abroad sessions at Mercyhurst, I never got to do one. I usually, because I do live so far away from home, on those long breaks, I decide to go home. But the study abroad options, I know there has been a few applied forensic science majors that have gone to study abroad, Ireland. Some went to Costa Rica, some went to Mexico. So the options are there. I know a lot of people, I would recommend doing it in your first couple of years, because towards your junior and senior year, you get to the very hands-on courses where personally, I didn't want to ever leave the lab during those class times. So some students will prefer to go earlier on in their Mercyhurst career.
Thanks, Anthony. Dr. Fitzpatrick, did you have anything you wanted to add on study abroad?
Yeah, sorry about that. My computer's
That's okay, no problem.
I keep taking down the sound and the thing to preserve bandwidth, so I apologize for the delay. So at present, we do not have a formal, overseas or study abroad kind of program. I would like to see one developed at some point, and I'm definitely excited about the possibility of that. Most of my research has been in Europe, so in Germany and Spain and Croatia, and then also in Central and South America, so Peru and Mexico. I would like to see us establish a program overseas to involve some forensic work, but right now it isn't quite on the books yet, but it is something that if there's enough interest, we could perhaps pursue it in the future. So thank you.
And I also just wanted to add that sometimes too, even though you might not go on a specific major related study abroad trip, often because we have such an extensive liberal arts core curriculum, sometimes students may even study abroad to go ahead and fulfill some of their REACH classes, which is what we would call our, our core curriculum at Mercyhurst as well too. So thanks, Dr. Fitzpatrick. I appreciate that. And we hope to see you get some more stuff on the books in the future. Another question that,
I'll add something, that we have a very strong affiliation and program in Dungarvan in Ireland. And so as Andrea said, that provides a pretty good opportunity to go to Ireland. I've been there. It's a beautiful place. I actually did a forensic case I was given a talk there, and they talking about forensic science, and then a police officer called in and said, see if Dirkmatt will come out to the boat and check on these remains. So, but it's a beautiful place, and as Andrea said, it's a good opportunity. You won't get a chemistry class or a forensic anthropology class there just yet, but it's an opportunity to go abroad and study the liberal arts and take care of that aspect of your career. So.
And sometimes students don't necessarily always go for a full term either. So if you didn't want to miss some of your classes on campus, like Anthony mentioned, sometimes you can go on a faculty-led study abroad trip. And those are usually abbreviated as well too. So it might only be 10 to 14 days. And oftentimes they're either at the start of the term or at the end of the term as well too. So there are opportunities for you to go ahead and squeeze those in while still taking all of your classes at Mercyhurst when you need to go ahead and do that to make sure that you graduate on time. Gwen was wondering if you ever thought that we might have a master's program in any other areas of forensics. She's interested currently in studying forensics with a concentration in criminal justice or criminalistics, or forensic biology. And she noticed that the only master's program currently is a concentration in anthropology.
Yeah, that's true. That's sort of where the expertise is. But we're what I've seen over the years is in our master's program that we started off and it was forensic anthropology, and the students would go 2 years and get a master's, and then nearly 100% of the individuals would go on to a PhD program in physical anthropology and there aren't any forensic anthropology master's or PhD programs. But what we're seeing in the last few years is that about half of the students are interested in a discipline called medical legal death investigation, which is you basically have a job investigating deaths for medical examiners' offices and dealing with crime scenes and things like that. And so that has been of interest to a lot of students. So that aspect of it might be of interest to you, rather than being a police officer. For the most part, those that are processing indoor scenes are still police officers. Yeah. Hopefully that answers the question.
Definitely. Thank you very much. Emma was wondering what kind of jobs are available for forensic anthropology students.
Well, right now, there are positions in large medical examiners' offices. For example, in New York City, at one point there was 8 forensic anthropologists there. So that's one opportunity. In a few other cities, they have anthropologists. And there's something called DPA, which is out in Hawaii. So that's always very appealing. That group focuses on the recovery and analysis of military war dead and missing military. So that has appeal to many individuals for a career in forensic anthropology. But for the most part, most of the forensic anthropologists in the field are professors working at universities. I've always argued that in the field, probably every big city should have 1 or 2 full-time forensic anthropologists. So I've written about that, and it hasn't come quite to that point, but as we talk about what a forensic anthropologist could do, in the old days, it was basically just look at some bones and determine whether it's human or not, and maybe once in a while you would do a case. But as we've constructed the field here at Mercyhurst, it includes not only that, but also the recovery of remains from outdoor scenes, from anywhere from surface scatters of bones of individuals to buried bodies. There was a buried body case not too far from here. On Friday, we'll be analyzing those remains when they come in this week. And we've dealt with fatal fire recoveries, and one of my specialties is dealing with large scale mass disaster scenes. So I've been involved in 4 or 5 plane crashes, including leading the recovery of the victims of a plane crash up in Buffalo in 2010. And then I was also the lead scientific advisor to the coroner for 9/11 down in Somerset in 2001. So I can't say that once you graduate, with an undergraduate degree, then you're off to your job as a forensic anthropologist. It's not quite at that time right now, but as we change the field, I think we'll see more and more individuals having full-time jobs in the big cities.
Thanks, Dennis. Maddie was wondering what the average GPA of students in your program is, if you happen to know that.
Average GPA?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the minimum is 2.75 for them to stay in the program, because we look at it, if you have anything less than that, it's going to be hard to get you into a master's program or an advanced program. But in reality, the students should have above a 3.0, and the higher the better. And usually usually we have very good students. And I look at the seniors that are graduating this year, it's holy crap, they're very good, 3.6, 3.8 and all that. And I won't say what my GPA is when I graduated from Pitt, but they're all pretty smart.
Thank you. Desmond was wondering if there was ever going to be an opportunity to shadow a student or visit campus this spring. Desmond, I think we want to welcome prospective students and their families back to campus as much as you want to visit. So we definitely are hoping to open that up. We just have to kind of see how things transpire this spring. In the meantime, we are trying to engage with our prospective students as much as we can virtually. And if you ever wanted to go ahead and maybe shadow a class or something like that virtually, please reach out to the admissions department and we'll definitely see what we can try to do to go ahead and make that a reality for you. Emily was wondering what the average class size is in the forensics department.
Leslie can speak to that.
So our undergrads, it depends on the class that you're in. Some of our lower level undergrad classes, such as the Introduction to Biological Anthropology course, that is our largest one that we teach as far as undergrads go, and that's capped at 35. That's an anomaly though. In most of our undergrad classes are about 10 to 12 students, and our graduate classes are usually between 5 to 8. So it's a very low ratio between teachers to students. So you're really going to get to know your professors quite well. You'll have that hands-on experience that you wouldn't really get anywhere else. Where I went to my undergrad, it was around 200 to 400 per class. So they were taught in large auditoriums. It was unbelievable. Here, it's not like that at all. So it's a very intimate between student and teacher kind of situation. It's really quite exceptional, to be honest.
Excellent. Thanks so much for that. I appreciate that. And Bella was wondering if you believe students will have any internship opportunities next year, if maybe the pandemic kind of calms down a little bit. Do you anticipate getting people out into the field again, if they were not out in the field this year?
Yeah, well, with respect to the internships, we always encourage the student to sort of look for those. We don't have a list and say, oh, we're going to try to put 3 people up in Buffalo and 2 down in Pittsburgh. It's sort of up to the student because we realize that usually during the summertime, especially in the freshman and the sophomore year, the students go home. And so we encourage them to look around and see if there's some opportunities available and apply for those. And if the agency requires a letter from us, we can certainly do that and talk to them about it. And so, yeah, we encourage the students to look into the internships, but a lot of that in the early part of their Mercyhurst career is on their own, is up to them.
And I also would encourage all of our students to make sure that they get to know our Career Development Center, because they do have a lot of resources available to help students polish up their resume, work on interview skills. I think a lot of our students are sometimes apprehensive to be to tout their accolades. And again, they will work with you to make sure that you can present your best self as you go for those internship and job opportunities as well too. So please make sure you get to know our Career Development Center as soon as you step foot on campus, and then they can hopefully go ahead and also assist you in any job and internship opportunities that you might be seeking. Tom Grimes also was wondering a little bit about a job posting he had recently seen for the state police, and it required a clinical lab technologist certification to work in a lab. Do any of the programs on campus provide that certification, and is it needed?
No, not that I know about. Basically, to get into the state police, it requires an undergraduate degree. So what we've seen, we've had a couple students that have been interested in that path. The typical path is sort of a criminal justice undergraduate degree and then applied for the state police. But with our forensic science focus, and that we have more science, it's sometimes appealing to those individuals to have that background, because once they're a trooper, they may be interested in becoming, working with the crime unit, for example. If they have a background in science, they're more likely to rise to the top of the class. And so we're starting to see that. And so the background doesn't have to be just criminal justice or working with law enforcement. Somebody going into the state police with a good, solid natural science background or a forensic science background will do well. But I'm not sure about the technology background that you're referring to.
And Hallie was wondering if this would be a program that would be well suited if she was interested in the FBI. She is not necessarily looking for a lab-based position in the FBI.
What is the FBI?
I got your humor.
Yeah, I've worked with all of them. I think working with the Pennsylvania State Police, they're probably as far as I'm concerned, the best police force, the police in law enforcement agency and individuals that I've worked with. So I know a lot of students see the shows and hear things about the FBI. So that's fine. I'd maybe take it one step at a time. You get a good undergraduate degree, you hear from the experts, and then maybe go for a master's, and then decide whether the FBI is a place for you. There's a lot of opportunities if you have the background that we're going to try to provide.
And then Zoe was wondering if board certification is part of the program, and if so, does Mercyhurst put you on a track to become board certified?
Well, board certified in I guess which discipline she's talking about. For me, if you're talking about what I have, a board certification in forensic anthropology, that's what you need for that. And actually, Joe is apparently starting to panic because she wants to take the test. But you have to have a PhD in physical anthropology or a related field. Then you have to have case experience, and then you have to take a day-long series of exams, written exams, as well as practical exams, and be able to identify fragments of bones and things like that. So that's down the road. So we can tell her to cool her heels. We'll take care of the steps before that, and then once she's been in the discipline for 6-8 years, then we can worry about board certification.
Excellent.
But
in the meantime, come to Mercyhurst and get your undergrad degree.
Yes, and you will, and our training for that gives you all of the understanding of the field and puts you certainly on the right track compared to any other program.
Excellent. And then Kylie was wondering if people that want to be medical examiners usually take forensic anthropology as their major, or is there a better option?
Usually, if you're talking about a medical examiner, that's a forensic pathologist. So the typical path for a forensic pathologist is an undergraduate degree in the natural sciences. Maybe that's pre-med. Go to medical school. Once you're done with medical school, then you get a pathology specialty. And then once you're done with that, then you get a forensic specialty in forensic pathology. So it's a long road. But we've had students that come through our program, and again, our curriculum is strongly based on the natural sciences, and I like to say that it's basically a pre-med program. And so students that go through our program have a different orientation than the vast majority of the other pre-med students. So we've had students graduate from our program, obviously have very good grades, and then go on to medical school. And we have, I know of 3 or 4 of our students who are doctors. I know of a couple that are in the pipeline here. So I don't think that if you want to become a medical doctor or a forensic pathologist, you have to focus on biology or a pre-med major.
Excellent. We also have a couple of other students that are thinking long-term, and Chenna was wondering if a PhD a PhD degree is available at Mercyhurst, and or would they have to go to another school? If so, do you recommend that they do kind of diversify their educational experiences?
Well, we're talking about the undergraduate here. So then most of the students, the vast majority of the students move on to another program. Anthony was an exceptional one because he was just a pain in the butt. We couldn't get rid of him. And so he showed up like the first day of classes there, sort of, and we had to keep him. But for the most part, we encourage the students to look at other programs and sort of get an idea. Obviously, we think we have the best master's program, so that's kind of hard to move them on. But we've had students move on to other masters, or some of our master students that go on, they have to certainly go on to a PhD program. We don't have we actually have a PhD on the books, but we haven't pulled the trigger on it yet. But we've had students that graduate from our program, from our masters, go on and get their PhD, and then on 3 or 4 occasions, we've hired them back here at Mercyhurst to teach. We had Dr. Clales and Dr. Garvin who were doing very good stuff, and they came back to teach here. So they are now leading their own programs. Dr. Garvin is at a medical program leading that, and Dr. Clales has a forensic anthropology program in Kansas.
Well, maybe if you can get that PhD on the books by May, Anthony can get your 7 and 8.
Yeah. Is that what he's writing in the margins?
Yeah, we'll get to that a little bit later.
Yeah.
Maddie was wondering if there's a crime house on campus.
Sorry, I have to say that we keep Anthony because he's awesome. Just
I appreciate it, Jill.
Well, we don't have a Penn State style crime house, but we do have we have a room where we can set up mock scenes, indoor scenes. But we have the real thing when it comes to the outdoor scene. Certainly when we are called to outdoor scenes, it's the graduate students who are all expected to respond. But we like to take 1 or 2 of the undergraduates who are either juniors or seniors to come along and witness it and experience it. So a lot of our graduating undergraduates have had 3 or 4 cases under their belt. And we also encourage them to work with the graduate students on the graduate students' projects and theses. And since our laboratories, our morgue is on campus, we also encourage them to help out with that. For example, as I said, we have a case going on right now. The next step is to deal with the body and try to understand what it looks like, what the soft tissue is, what the bones, and certainly the graduate students who will lead the charge there. But there's 1, maybe 2 undergraduates who will be involved in helping with that process.
Excellent. And Zachary was wondering what type of degree he would be earning from Mercyhurst if he took this program. It is not a criminal justice degree. It is a Bachelor's of Science in Applied Forensic Science. And then Eli was wondering if the BS in crime scene investigation is still on track to be offered this coming fall.
We are in the process of putting that together and then presenting it to the administration. So yes, I know where that's coming from. Yes. So we've been for the last couple years looking at the concentrations that we offer and sort of what the job market is. When I started in 2002, I looked at the graduate programs. I looked at where students might be able to get jobs, and then we constructed those concentrations. So some of that has changed over the years. So for example, the forensic chemist or the forensic biology has come to prominence, with studying DNA and all that. And so we didn't originally have that, but but in the late 2000s, we added it because we saw that that was a big part of the forensic science discipline. And so that concentration used to be just a criminalistics concentration, but then we saw that the forensic biology was an important part of it. And so when you look at the listings, it's a criminalistic / forensic biology.
Excellent. I know we are quickly approaching 8 o'clock, so I want to make sure that we try to move through the rest of the questions that we have. There are quite a few. So for those of you that are still with us, please know that we are going to get to your questions. We appreciate your patience, and thank you so much for asking such great questions. Grace was wondering if you had any placement rates for forensic biology as an undergraduate student.
We don't have those numbers, but I can say that I haven't received complaints from students saying, you know, I graduated and I don't know where to go. I don't have a place to go. We, early on when we started the program, Drexel University in Philadelphia approached us and said, you have a great curriculum. We know you train the students well. So if you have any students that would like to enroll in our forensic science masters, we would take them. And so over the years, we've offered that to the students, but I can't think of anybody that's taken us up on it. Not just because it's Philadelphia, but and I'm a Pittsburgh boy, but I think it says that the students are looking for certain programs and they're successful in getting to it. So they don't have to say, well, I can't get anywhere, so I'll have to go to Drexel. So the students have been successful in going to the places where they want to go. As far as I don't receive letters saying, you know, what did you do for my career? So.
And Sarah was wondering if you were able to take forensic science courses while also taking courses for a chemistry degree, with the end goal of working in a lab setting for forensic chemistry.
Yes, we have the concentration, which is the forensic chemistry, and so that's sort of geared specifically for that. What you can, I'm looking here, and the hockey score isn't very good, so I don't want to hear it from Anthony here. But anyway, what was the question again? Yeah.
If you can take.
Speaking of a Pittsburgh boy and Philadelphia, yeah, we just got our butts kicked apparently. So.
Anthony said his team plays tomorrow night, so he's good for the rest of the evening, he told me.
Yeah.
Sorry. So Emily was wondering if there are any plans to add a forensic psychology department to the program.
No.
Okay. And
no,
then,
that's sort of at this point not part of the natural sciences. So if that's more of a individuals that want to do that can major in psychology, and it's more of the social science rather than the natural science.
And then back to Sarah's question, she was wondering if you can take, again, forensic science and chemistry courses with the end goal of working in a lab setting doing forensic chemistry.
Yes, so the concentration has all of the classes that would be required of somebody who wanted to apply for a lab position. Since it is still a natural science, if you want to ensure that you get a job there, then it would entail getting an advanced degree, a master's. So you can't really say that once you graduate from Mercyhurst, you're going to get a job in a forensic chemistry lab, because there's a lot of people competing for that. It would require you to get a master's degree, maybe at the crime house there at Penn State or something.
Emma was wondering if forensic bioconcentrations have mock outside inside scenes to work with throughout their education.
That's basically within the forensic archaeology, forensic anthropology, but students in those majors can certainly take the classes, and they would count towards the degree. So if they have an interest in it, and again, what I see the undergraduate thing is an exploration. You may come in and she may be saying, I'm going to do forensic DNA, and that's what I want to do, but she may then take the forensic intro to forensic anthropology and then change course. And so yes, consider that these 4 years are sort of exploring, and by the time you're a junior, senior, then you've made up your mind and you're focused on a track, whether it's within the forensic science department or whether it's in the chemistry or the biology department. It's again, for me, it is, I want the students to figure it out. It's not the numbers that we graduate with or anything like that. So.
And then Maddie was wondering how many students begin your program as a freshman and how many end up graduating.
Well, yeah, I addressed that a little bit. This past year we had the most in the modern era. We had 52 freshmen come in, which is a big number for a relatively small school. So I would predict by the end of that maybe 30, 35 of those students would graduate from our program. But again, once we're sitting at graduation, when we consider graduation again, I would expect to see those individuals walk down the line, from other programs. So.
And then I know we talked a lot about opportunities post-graduation, but do you have an idea of what percentage of students actually go undergraduate programs directly from their undergraduate degree?
I don't have the numbers. It's a pretty high percentage, but I don't have those numbers.
That's okay. And then we also got some questions via text message as well. So thank you for sending those. What do students do at crime scene searches?
When we go to these scenes, basically, we treat it as if it were an indoor scene, and we're trying to document all the evidence. We clear the scene without disturbing the evidence, and so we map in where that evidence is located, and that spatial distribution of the evidence tells us a lot about what happened in the past. And so we collect evidence about the scene to try to understand if animals have disturbed it, try to get an idea of how long that scene has been there, and a lot of other information. So it's when we go, it's a well-oiled machine. We go there, talk to the police, we clear the scene, usually hands and knees search, expose the evidence, document it through maps and written and photographs, and then that allows us to take the remains back to the laboratory and then interpret the bones, the soft tissue, the scene, and then we paint a picture for a jury, for the prosecutors, as to what happened there.
Excellent. I think we answered all of the questions, hopefully in the chat. I want to go ahead and ask any of our prospective students that have joined us today, if anyone would like to unmute themselves and ask a question audibly, you may do so now. All right, I'll take that silence as hopefully most questions were answered. I'm going to go ahead and ask our faculty and Anthony 2 extra questions, and then we'll go ahead and wrap it up for the night. Why do you enjoy either working or studying at Mercyhurst, and what's your best piece of advice for our prospective students as they finish their college search? Dr. Dirkmatt, did you want to start?
Sure. Sort of my piece of advice is that students that are interested in our discipline, the forensic sciences, again, I always want to emphasize that it's the natural sciences. And so students that are interested in that, at the high school setting, take as many classes as you can and do as well as you can, etc., so that you won't be surprised when you come to a university setting, when you take a chemistry class or a biology class or a forensic anthropology class, that you'll be well prepared, and you have an understanding that, yes, this is a hard discipline, but I enjoy it and I do well, and so that'll grease the wheels for what comes afterwards at our undergraduate program.
Excellent. And why do you enjoy working at Mercyhurst?
Well, I've been here 30 years, so I guess there's a lot there. I've sort of developed my career here a lot of other forensic anthropologists went to big name programs, and so they were spoon fed as to what the field was. I for many years was sort of on my own here, and trying to figure it out. I had a pretty good education at Pitt, but then I found out about the field and I explored it and met some people and sort of developed my own version of it. And so that's probably the most rewarding in my older years here. That's being recognized that we did change the field. We've described recently that we've shifted the paradigm in forensic anthropology, and we've been able to do it at a small school like Mercyhurst. Before I got there, I grew up in Pittsburgh, which isn't that far away. I had never, the month before I came to Mercyhurst, I had never heard of Mercyhurst. But I think now, as a result of our forensic work and what we do, Mercyhurst is a pretty well-known entity here in Pennsylvania, Ohio, and New York. And so that's been very rewarding in developing the program and bringing on the faculty and getting up there in years. I'm going to pass it on to them in a month or so. No, I was kidding. In a few years.
Before I turn it over to your colleagues, Dr. Dirkmatt, another question just came in the chat. Would you say it's a fair assessment that a graduate degree is typically required to become employed in the field?
Yes. Yeah. And if you're thinking of any natural science discipline, if you want to work in a crime lab as a chemist, the undergraduate degree is not going to cut it. So you would consider that Mercyhurst is the first step. You want to become a forensic chemist. This is the first step. Get as many chemistry classes as you can and do very well and get good reference letters. Then you go to a master's, and you may then decide that you want to be a university professor or you want to do research. Then you get your PhD. So there's various steps to it. And I like to tell the student not to jump too far ahead and say, okay, I want to be a world-renowned medical examiner. Well, there's a lot of steps before there, and it's a circuitous path. When you're 17, 18 years of age, it may seem very clear, but it's going to be different, in 10, 15 years where you are, and you might be surprised. Maybe tonight, write down what exactly you think you'll be doing in 10 years and take a look at it then.
And another question just popped up in the chat as well too. Do you have any honors students at Mercyhurst in your forensics department? And do you feel that they struggle to keep up with everything, or is it a manageable task?
No, the students in our program are very smart. And so, yes, they belong in the honors program. And we've had a lot of students in the honors program. And so, as well as students, we talked about Anthony and the student athlete. We've had a lot of student athletes, and even though doing athletics takes up a lot of time, if you manage your time and you're smart, and you'll be able to do it. We the first day of class, we don't get up there and say you have to be studying 24/7 to be successful here. No, you have to have a balance. You have to know how to study well and hard when you need to, but you're supposed to enjoy these 4 years. It's supposed to be some of the best years of your life. And so we encourage students to do extracurricular stuff, to join clubs. And that's always a very good part of your resume when you're moving on to say a master's program. They'll look at your grades and look at your classes, but as we do, looking at students, we look at what is the extracurricular stuff that they've done, that they enjoyed the time, that they were leaders, that, all of that goes into it. And one of the final pieces of the puzzle is that they get good recommendation letters, that you've treated your fellow students nicely and you've been polite to the faculty and worked hard, and et cetera. That's all part of it.
Excellent. Dr. Atsarias, I'm going to go ahead and ask you the same two questions I asked Dr. Dirkmatt. Why do you enjoy working at Mercyhurst University? And what piece of advice do you have for students as they embark on their college search?
So I really enjoy working at Mercyhurst because first, as I said, because the opportunity of working under Dr. Dennis Dirkmatt, who is one of the fathers of forensic anthropology nowadays, and then the environment that we have between the faculty and our students. So Anthony, Leslie, and Dr. Dirkmatt can tell about that, right? So Dr. Dirkmatt was talking about this balance between funds and doing good science. And I think the Department of Applied Forensic Science in Mercyhurst is the best place you can do that. I'm Spanish, I love to have fun, and I have great vocation for my work. So for me, it's the best place. So, and also it's really nice to be a part of a team where you can give the 200% as I like, and doing that in a pleasant atmosphere. That's not very, I've been working in other places in the US, other places in Europe, and I tell you, this is an oasis of good environment and very, very high scientific quality. You cannot find these two together very often. And my advice to all the prospective students is like, do whatever you like, because you're going to work so hard, you're going to work so many hours, so you have to love it. You really have to love that.
Very good advice. Very good advice. Dr. Fitzpatrick, why do you enjoy Mercyhurst, and what advice do you have for prospective students?
So thank you. Mercyhurst is fantastic. Just like Dr. Atzarias and Dr. Dirkmatt said, it's about collegiality, not only with our fellow professors, but with the students as well. I really, really, truly enjoy working with the students. They're bright, they're fun, they're fantastic human beings, and it's such a genuine pleasure to get to work with each of them and get to know them on that personal level, which is not common at other universities. Like I said, I've basically been a number. I didn't have a name my entire undergraduate, and that's not the case here. There is a high degree, there's high expectations for our students, but you guys rise to meet it, and that is awesome. I really truly enjoy teaching students. Every class I teach, even if it's an undergraduate level class, I teach it like it's doctoral level, and kids rise to that occasion. I figure give you guys more than what you ask for so that you never are hungry for more information. And I still have kids that come back and they're hungry for more information. And to me, that's quite impressive. It really defines the quality of student that we have at Mercyhurst, in particular in this program. And I'm thankful to work with all of you and my colleagues. As far as my advice for students, echoing Dr. Atzarias, do something that you are passionate about. I was not passionate about my undergrad. That's why I'm here. Do something you enjoy. This is the rest of your life, essentially, that you're setting yourself up for. And if you like it, it's not going to be a chore. It's going to be challenging, but it'll be fun. You'll want to do it rather than having to do it. So definitely consider what makes you tick, and don't just look at the end. Don't look at the money, right? And we all want to make a good living and be comfortable, but money's not everything, right? So take that into consideration when you're considering what you want to do. Determine where your passions are, and then align your studies along with those. And look at other schools. Look around, look at what the other programs are, look at the other faculty members, and look at their dynamics, right? Look at the dynamics between faculty members and how they relate to students and how students relate to one another, because you're going to see that there are different vibes at different universities, and this is a positive vibe. So I enjoy being here. I wouldn't be here if I didn't. So I wish you guys all the best of luck in your search, but remember, look broad, look wide, and then decide where you want to go. Follow your passion. And as always, if you guys have questions, feel free to reach out. I know everyone in the department's probably, I'm speaking for them, but I'm sure they're willing to answer questions, and I definitely am. And I work with a lot of the advising for our undergrads. So I'm happy to answer questions about courses, programs, like what your course of study would be like. Feel free to reach out to me. Always happy to help.
Thanks, Leslie. And do you mind sharing your contact information in the chat in case anybody would like to reach out? Awesome. Thank you so much. And Anthony, do you mind talking a little bit about maybe your favorite memory at Mercyhurst and then also your best piece of advice for students as they kind of finish their college search?
Yeah, definitely. So my favorite memory at Mercyhurst, I mean, there's a ton. I know that sounds kind of cliche, but there's been 6 years worth. In regards to, I think, forensics, especially, it was I was studying for an exam, and I was putting everything I had into this exam because it was our osteology class, and that's like the scaffolding to our program. Osteology is the study of bones, and if you can't master osteology, the whole field after that is, you can't do anything else. If you don't know the bones, you can't do anything else. And it was the first exam, and I've heard horror stories of this, class. People, you have to stick your hands in bags and feel bones, and you have to close your eyes, and you get little tiny fragments, and there's a whole slew of things thrown at you. And I remember I walked into the exam, and at the time we took the class as an undergrad with graduate students, and these two graduate students walked by me, and they were just like, "How are you not nervous right now?" And they were shaking in their boots themselves, and they already had osteology and everything. And I finished the exam, and I remember one of the lab assistants and the TAs came up to me, and they said, like, "How'd you do it? You got 100%. You set the curve on this exam." And I walked out of there with the biggest ear to ear smile on my face, knowing that I could do this. Because as Dennis said, I came in with an interest. I applied that interest throughout my 4 years there, and I think just seeing that, I put all this work in, and that I knew I could do this, and that this field was something I dreamed of doing, and I went out and, I'm achieving that dream. So that was one of my super fond memories. Another one is my first case I got to go on. Every night I would, when I heard there was a case, I worked in the department as a work study. So anytime there was, rumblings that there was a case, I would talk to some of the faculty and be like, "Oh, there's a case. Can I come? Can I come? Can I come?" And as Dennis says, I was kind of a pest at times. And I reached out to the faculty member and said, "Hey, can I go to this case?" And she said, "You're kind of lower on the list because it's alphabetical. If someone cancels, we'll let you know." And I woke up, set my alarm for 4 o'clock in the morning, looked at my phone, there was a text, someone dropped out. Can you come join us? And I was elated to be out there. Just so excited to be, working with Dr. Dirkmatt, Dr. Fitzpatrick, and all of the graduate students at the time too, because I was an undergraduate, and I loved it, every minute of it. So yeah, a lot of fun memories, both with hockey. I mean, dorm life was great living at Mercyhurst, but definitely most of my memories came out of the Department of Applied Forensic Sciences. But a really big tip that I have for anybody applying to any kind of college is get involved. As in high school, I was very involved. I got to college and became very involved. I was a department work study. That was huge to my success in the department. They get you involved right away. Freshman through senior, you're working in the lab, you're working alongside the master students, you're working alongside the faculty. Some days are slow and you're doing administrative tasks. Some days are really interesting where you are working with human remains or animal remains, and you're helping constantly. I think that exposed me to the field really young and really early, and it got me more interested. And I kept, I got a little bite and I wanted a bigger taste, and I kept getting involved and involved and involved. And another thing too I recommend is talking to faculty, ask questions. The student to faculty ratio is really small, right? So you can go to a faculty member and they know your name, they know who you are, so you're not going in blind. You can talk to them about anything. I've had talks with all the faculty members, in depth about anything, whether it be school related, personal, or just seeing how their day is. And that's really big, that you can go to them and they know who you are. So I don't think I would have gotten that whole experience anywhere else. So Mercyhurst has impacted my life tremendously the last 6 years, and it will be sad to leave it in 5 months.
Thanks so much, Anthony. And I know that I can speak for the forensics department that they'll also be sad to see you go too, because you were definitely an asset to not only that department, but our hockey team and also the university as a whole. So thank you so much for sharing a little bit about student life at Mercyhurst with our prospective students as well too. To our prospective students and families that joined us this evening, I hope that you saw the passion that our faculty have for their department and their field, and also how much they love teaching at Mercyhurst University as well too. As Dr. Fitzpatrick said, we are here to go ahead and kind of assist you throughout their college search. If you have any additional questions, please feel free to reach out to us. We recognize that no two college searches are exactly the same. And we, again, are here to go ahead and help you through that process. We are looking forward to hopefully hosting you guys on campus again in the spring. As soon as we can do so, we will let everybody know. Until that time, I wish everybody continued good health, stay well, and carpe diem. We'll see you soon.